Coming out of the halt, let's see what happens.
HSTO.
We've got to break through this level. It needs to be either a
SIGA.
gap or a hard push up. And there's got to be more momentum going up, or this is going to drop down and we're going to halt down.
SFM.
So I'm putting in 50%, loading up 50% of my position for sell. We got a nice strong push upward. Shit, I forgot there were options on this thing. We've got to hold this line. If we drop below there, I'm taking profits, 50%. What number is this? 640 something. Let's switch to the 15 second. So we can, here's our gap. Got to stay above that gap. Now, see, we're kind of creating a downtrend. The 9-day EMA will act as an area that we need to bounce off.
SIGA.
There's still a lot of buyers here. We've got support, strong support at 650, a strong buyer at 650, so we can also use that as strong support for our decision to stay in, validation to stay in. Key is capital preservation, take profits.
APDN.
Let's see how fast and hard we come down here. Did we clear out?
SIGA.
650, still have a lot of strong buyers at 650, so there's a strong support level there. But if we chew through those, and it can happen pretty fast, we got to get out. Look at that! Wow.
LABU.
Boom, just like that. 650's holding. 650, 650.
ATNM.
Here. Okay. This is not looking good. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and take half profits right now. And
LABU.
about to take half again here. We'll see. It's going to happen fast. That 85,000, if I'm seeing it, everyone else is seeing it. Short sellers, so they know they're going to have to come up with quite a bit of shares to slam right through that. And so the bears might be coming out of gas, but that's probably what they want you to think. I've got 50%. Still have 25% shares. I'm going to sell
EBGN.
Another half of what I had, so I'm at 75% out of this trade. Been holding since yesterday. And I feel more comfortable with holding these last few shares up for the break of 7. Let's see what the 1 minute looks like. Still holding this this previous support level pretty strong, so that's good. Now we've got a position that's building at 650. I'm only up 15% from my hold from yesterday, but I bought in at the 550-ish level. I should have bought more on the afternoon dip, but there's the flush. And it happened so fast that did I get out? Yep, I'm all out of my position.
GTHX.
So there you go, the halt on the way down. Nope, it did not halt. Okay, I thought for sure it did. Looks like buyer stepped in and picked it up. I'm all out of my position. That break of the previous support here, I sold the remaining 15% of my shares, I sold half coming up through the break, and I sold another 25% in here. If the chances are quickly lowering for this to push back up, but given the stock's popularity and still the amount of short sellers, the amount of short interest that's still out there on the stock, especially now, you may have triggered, you might trigger quite a few more once you break 7, but definitely some more up here. So we'll see. Floats 8 million shares, so this thing can move very, very quickly. It's been trading off that 200. Let's see what the 5-minute looks like here. Trading off of the 21-day EMA. Let's bounce back 15 seconds here. So now you could draw a line. I can't do it on the 15 seconds here. Let's see if it'll let me do it. The 30-second. So now we have a downward trend.
AMZN, Amazon, right now hitting new highs, 143.49,
It's got to break
up
through
$3.86.
this level here
Alpha Michael's in
in order to continue on. It might come back down to this previous support level, but we're still going to extend our line down. It's a bit more reasonable. So let's see if it can break through. Let's see where VWAP's at. VWAP's down here. We are on the 1-minute chart. Let's see what it looks like on the 2, the 3, the 5. These stocks have not really been showing, traders really haven't been trading off the 5-minute chart on these kind of momentum stocks because the volatility is so high. It's struggling. You know, now the bears are slowly starting to take control, and ideally to add to your short positions. If I were shorting this stock, obviously you really want to get it down to this level here. This is where they're going to pile on, but especially if this level breaks here as well. What's the volume? 55 million, 56 million shares traded already.
CEMI.
Float at 8, so we're looking at 7 times the float has traded. Okay, got a nice push. This candle has to close. Just because a candle is breaking past some of our resistance lines that we've drawn, it has to close above it. That's the key thing. Very, very key. We've got a wall of sellers here, 13. You see a ladder starting to form. It's supposed to be illegal, coordinated short selling.
Again,
right past it.
FRGT.
Yeah, short sellers didn't have a chance. This is good.
SOPA.
Next level that we've got to break through is the $7. See how we push through this here? We might go up a little bit. We may come back down. If this holds, we do the break and the retest. Break and the retest. And then we'll try to bounce higher.
FRGT.
There's a strong battle going on right now. And
SOPA.
depends on how many shares there are to short out there. There's a few brokers. Interactive Brokers usually has shares to short, and then there's another one, Short Traders, kind of a secret broker. I want to say Sterling. I'm trying to put the name.
JAKK. GTHX. SOPA.
APDN. Let's check Thinkorswim. Detach chart. Applied DNA Sciences is probably likely moving off of the Biden administration declaring monkeypox a public health emergency.
AEMD.
Move our lines here. We're continuously drawing and redrawing, trying to figure out, based on stock price, where our traders trading it. So we're still in a downtrend. When you take a look at the 5-minute here. Yep.
SIGA. AEMD.
Sometimes it's not so good to look at the price action that close. Pull back a bit. Kind of get an overview picture of where it's been, where it's headed. That's an excellent short squeeze.
SOPA.
You really couldn't ask for anything better than that, within reason. Now you've got 24,000 sellers here at 644, so now your chances of breaking through that level just got a lot worse. So if you're still in the stock, I've profited. What was my total here? When it was all said and done, about 10%.
GRTS.
I got in. Thought this was going to bounce.
SOPA.
I thought it was going to bounce yesterday in here and push up, and it did not. It came down lower. But see, all it takes is news. That's why you gotta. It's really important to keep some kind of news source handy. That you can set to your phone. I know most people trade. They're not at a computer and they can't all day. So, but having that news source come across the wires. Unfortunately, Benzinga is the only thing that is affordably priced.
SOPA.
You can always have in your ear. Here we go. Here comes the test of. Oh, they've already chewed right through that. All right. Short ladders are forming. You know, this is a good example of the battle that goes on back and forth. Let's go ahead and draw another line here. Go. Breaking out. The tide can change
FLNC
very quickly in a short period of time. And it's important to keep in mind that there are more
MYOV
short sellers on the other side in this market than there are just regular buyers of stock. Shorting is typically, especially in a bear market, a lot more profitable because obviously stocks reach up to, they'll shoot up to a certain point today. Coin is a perfect example. Coin shot straight up. Where's coin now?
GRTS.
To a high of
GTHX.
116.
USAC.
It is now trading at
DH.
$90. $16. So shooting up to a previous
AFR I will resume at
resistance
1:51
level,
and 35 seconds
113.
PM.
Shot past it just a bit. Short traders likely piled in up there, and now they're making a lot of money. Just kind of waiting for it to continue its downward dying process.
ANAV.
This morning, when I heard the news, I was going to buy call options at the open. The problem is when the market opened and the options contracts updated, the contracts were by far too expensive, and there wasn't a whole lot of more room to run. It's important to be aware of something here. We're gonna come back to this in just a second. I want to show y'all something. Coin. Even the best traders can be wrong, and it's important to not get married to your decision. You can always have a plan, but have a plan B, even a plan C. If this does this, then do this. When I saw the news break and saw the price action here, I was all for getting in. Once this broke $90, once this broke 90 here, I was still a buyer, but once it got to 96, there's not a whole lot more meat on the move, so to speak. And so rather than this becoming a slow
GOVX.
grind upwards and more of a longer term trade, the faster it goes up and the sharper the incline, the more likely it is to quickly come down. And so we were, what's this, the 1 minute? We bounced off the 200 here. That's a good sign. And here's the 2 minute. What's the 3 and the 5 look like? We need to bounce off this. And we need to move above VWAP in order for this to continue higher. If it's possible, short sellers, we may grind down a little further. It's a pretty steep climb. I think we're going to see something more like this.
GOVX.
So we'll see. We're back at here was your support levels somewhere in here. Let's draw this. And let's take a look at where's that trap supply.
GTHX.
APDN, the 5 minute. Take a look at the 30 days 1 hour.
SOPA.
Lot of
GOVX.
supply. Let's see. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay. So you saw once we broke the 5s up here, there was very little supply. So we were able to move high very quickly. But we topped out supply right here and quickly came back down. And now we're fighting in between here. It's APDN. Let's take a look
Fed's
at corn.
Mester says interest rates should continue to rise this year and through the first half of next year. Then maybe we can
move
pause and bring
in
it back down.
pre-market. Now we're back here in a
AFRI may resume in less than a
in a
minute.
supply-demand zone. There
TUP.
wasn't much trap supply up here, so that's why we moved quickly up. But when we move quickly up, we can move quickly down. And let's go back to
Mester said it's not
APDN.
unreasonable to think we might do a 75 in
Bull's
September,
still
but
trying
it could very
to,
well be
push
50
through.
and will be guided by the
This is
data.
on the 2 minute. Let's extend our chart out a little bit more. At this point, you had to have a plan. Where was your plan to get out? There's still a lot of back and forth going on between here. You see the shorts kind of pile up here. They likely put stop losses, depending on where they get in at. They can put stop losses right up above here. Move this up a bit, right in here.
ICPT.
This is great price action to watch. When a candle forms that has
ASTS.
really strong push down or up, that is usually a good or bad sign depending on which side you're on. But with this candle down, there's a strong push. Stop losses were hit, sellers took profits, and short traders came in, all in one candle here within 30 seconds. That's usually a bearish sign. Normally, I would say on just about any other stock, we would normally just continue downward, but
XCUR.
this is pretty strong news. You might have people that are just getting the news coming in, some people FOMOing, some people thinking that this is going to be a good investment and they want to get in while it's still below price, if Biden's going to declare it as a health emergency, et cetera, et cetera. And so in my opinion, you're seeing a lot of back and forth trades going on here with a range 5 cent range right now, so you're going to see a little bit wilder swings because there's more than a 1 or 2 cent spread here on the bid to ask. And still seeing a downtrend. At some point, there's going to be a flush. If this doesn't break through this trend line, you're going to see a flush. Short traders are going to come in and they're going to try to dump another load and push it down if buyers don't come in and push through this higher. What's the volume like? Volume's kind of steady. There we go. Yep, buyers coming in to save the day. Very interesting. It's fun to watch. You know, it's obviously not too fun when you've got thousands on the line on these kind of trades. That's why it's important to take your profits back here, coming out of that the halt. Because you can always get back in this. I mean, if you're under the PDT rule, you can't obviously, but it's just really important when you pull back and look at the grand scheme of things and the price action. It's important to take profits. We were up here. We might not come back up here for a few hours, for a few days, maybe a few weeks, if ever again. You never know. But taking profits up here, especially when we have crossed over the previous days, or here definitely the previous day's high, and definitely in pre-market trading once we crossed here, that's a great trade. So, getting greedy and think that this thing is going to shoot up much higher. What are we at here? What's the daily chart look like? So the next leg, or next resistance is about 750.
SKYX.
Think about it this way. The last time we crossed up to 750 was over here on over a year ago. Don't get greedy. Take your profits.
CBM.
S&P futures moving a bit lower now, 41.53. Again, Fed's Mester says rates should continue to rise this year into the first half
regaining
of 2023.
control. This is nice. Let's see if it can push past this level here. And then the next test will be previous high.
ATUS. XCUR.
Lots of sellers coming here. Look at this. It's just amazing how quickly these walls are formed in the opposition. And you'll see 650, 15 cents. Sometimes you'll be able to see the increments.
RYTM.
645, no, 635. That's where we're at now. But you'll see them starting to stack up, and sometimes depending on the price action,
XCUR.
if the price moves up too quickly and the shorts haven't had a chance to really build up a good wall here, they'll move their shares down a bit and kind of redistribute them. And I don't know how much of this is algorithmic trading or if it's just traders in general replacing their bids. It happens so fast. I don't see how a person can reshift 10,000 shares and redistribute it at different price points in such a short period of time, but it happens all the time. So you got 650, 665, and 7. So they're building the ultimate wall at 7, which is right where the previous high is here. So the candles are starting to get smaller. price range is tightening up quite a bit, and you've got more selling pressure, more selling volume coming in here than you do buying. So we'll see what happens. Can change at any minute. The bulls are building their own. It just amazes me. I never get tired of watching this
HKD
stuff.
halted.
How,
HKD will resume at
strategy comes in
2:02 and
here,
29 seconds p.m.
And here's the thing, it's a lot of it's
AEZS.
psychological. If I come into the stock and I'm
GTLO.
looking at the level 2 data, at this point, shit, you know, I missed a big move. Should I get in now? Should I get in now? Well, if I see that there's a lot of sellers
GTLO.
and they're staggered out, I'm going to be less likely to get into the trade because you're not going to, it's going to take a lot to grind through that. But at the same time, there's also probably quite a few shorts that are in this as well. We've squeezed pretty high already though. So I would imagine that if you were a short seller in here and you had a stop loss set, you would be, you know, you would have gotten set your stop losses right in here, and that's why you see such a massive candle here. There was probably quite a few stop losses for short traders tucked in here. Big, let's see, what are we looking at here now? Alright, bull's trying to make a move. You see how this is kind of turning around? We're starting to curl a little bit. Ooh, getting jumpy here.
GTHX.
Oh man, wow. You'll get these guys that'll come in. I need to find out what that,
I'm just trying to be like y'all.
There's a broker out there that has an enormous amount of shares on almost every stock
Who
out
done
there.
keep the
It's
truck, man? Man, you gotta stop messing with those babies.
GTHX.
WKEY, Wise Key strengthens
Sterling Capital.
technology portfolio across cybersecurity, IoT, NFT, and the metaverse by constantly learning and adapting to provide customers with a highly trusted, secure, and intelligent platform for their digital transformation. Press release with Kilo Echo Yankee.
SKYX.
Shares of Wise Key getting a pop to the
can't
highs,
remember this
$2.08.
now we're starting to see some price action kind of bounce off of this trend line up on the opposite side. That doesn't always mean anything good. It just it really needed to push through this area up here, so we could be
WKEY.
kind of in a small consolidation range. You know, at some point someone's going to give up with enough volume coming in. With the news that has broke and that's hit the wires, we might see this kind of fade out a little bit
AEZS,
HKD
because
makes
it's
in
not
less than a
anything
minute.
that's happened yet. There we go.
At the intraday high, $5.68.
We're trying to get it past this point right here. Again, that candle has to close. It's just a 1 minute candle. If they can keep it down there for 5 minutes, the closing of a 5-minute candle is good for the bears,
LABU.
for the shorts. On this type of push
AEZS
down.
halted. AEZS will resume at 2:06 and 21 seconds p.m.
GILD, Moody's affirms Gilead at A3, raises outlook to stable from negative. That's Dolphin dealing.
Last night when I was talking last night, we discussed how to trade coming out of a volatility halt, and in this particular trade, I had talked about once you come out of that first halt, you really need to think about taking some profit. If you're lucky enough to get it halted on a second halt, then you absolutely need to take profit. And I'll take 50% out of that first halt, and then I'll take another 50%
SKYX.
coming out of the second halt for total. Sorry, my mic turned off, but coming out of that second halt, you sell another 25% for total 75%. And at that point, you can make your own judgment. But once we broke this line here, I was all out of all shares. It seems like that we're going to continue downward. We're bouncing on the 5 minute. We're trying to hold the 9 EMA. So we bounced off the 21, bounced off the 9, continued to push higher. Maintaining on the 2 minute chart, we maintained our push above on that 9, and it just kind of looks like
LABU.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're breaking down. Normally you'd see if a trade was really starting to break down and the bears were maintaining control or continuing to control, you would see this volume kind of fade off. You could almost draw a line
GTHX.
Here, but volume picked up, and we're not flushing like we would normally. So still a lot of volume in here. We traded 64 million shares now. That's a lot, and this is a 8 million float. So we'll see. It could bounce to this level here. That's why drawing your lines, continuously updating your lines to get an idea of what traders are trading off of, to see where it's going. It will likely possibly look like something like this. But you still want to take profits. The risk of holding this, if you ran out of day trades and you're under the PDT rule, and you jumped in here and you can't get out, that's a big risk, big risk, because now that we can kind of pull back and see the big picture, you can see
DWAC.
see where this might go. Looking at yesterday, kind of did the same thing.
AEZS may resume in less than a minute. GTHX.
I like to pull my lines a little bit further across because sometimes you'll see an area that traders use to trade off of that you didn't see before. It's good practice too. Practice. Always draw your lines. Support and resistance levels.
GTHX.
Yeah. So we're coming down now at the 21 again on the 3 minute. On the 5. Now the bulls are very much in control. I mean the bears, excuse me. Alright, I'm going to jump off, guys. I just wanted to give y'all some insight where I was at coming out of that halt. Halts are 5 minutes, and if it gets halted again, especially on the way down, then this thing is likely done, because that's where
FXLV.
as soon as it comes out of a halt on the way down, the shorts are just going to pile even more. So it's an easy money making flush that would likely continue on until more news comes out, until there's another catalyst. So, blue collar, you sold Mullen, good job. I guess the CEO did not have anything groundbreaking to say
OMER.
on Benzinga.
Meta Platform says took action against two cyber
espionage
espionage operations in South Asia in the quarter. That's Michael Echo Tango Alpha.
There's been talks about a more deadly virus, smallpox. And unfortunately, there are only a few countries that have access to that kind of stuff. And I remember hearing a pathogen scientist say that if smallpox were ever released into the public, it will have been on purpose, because there are only 2 or 3 countries that hold any kind of specimen of that. So take it for what you will. Good luck, guys. Let's take a look real quick at two other stocks that we were. What was the one? We had a new IPO on Brush. Yeah. Man, we shot up to 380. That's awesome. Now, here we go. I don't know if y'all can see this, but we now have kind of have an upward trend line now. So you can draw the next potential. Next potential capping point. We've got trap supply. Really in these whole areas here. So it's gonna have a tough time grinding up once we get past some of this previous resistance here.
PTLO.
But it's got it's traded 30 million shares. Float is 247, so it's turned over the float numerous times. And it's on its way back down. So it's, once it gets in this area down here, especially below this point, I'm going to be looking to add more shares. IPOs, we are kind of in the beginning stages of IPO hot streaks. IPOs really died out. Everyone was afraid to get in them because they would shoot up real quick and then people would lose a lot of money. And the best way to trade an IPO these days is just to wait for it to come down and find the bottom. In this case, because this IPO, how much did it come? IPO debuted at what did it start trading at? $4.16. And that would put it it just immediately came back down. So it's lost 50%. The first trading, more than that, almost 60-70% when it came back down. But now that we've got a bottom here, that's the thing about IPOs and when stocks first start trading that's very important to keep in mind. There is no historical basis to draw any kind of trend line on. So it's anyone's guess. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes if there's a lockup period for shares. It's really the worst case scenario to get into these stocks, even just buying in at $4. But if you hold on with enough time, eventually you could easily quadruple your money, if not more. It's happened time and time again. But it might even be a better idea to, if you wanted to get in before the stock starts trading at the IPO price, once it dips down, add to your share, do a dollar cost average down in anticipation of something like this. Here's another.
HEAR.
So there you go. So now we've kind of got an idea of some support resistance levels. Definitely have one here, bottom. Don't be surprised if this gets to this level and continues lower. It's happened before. It's hard to pick and figure out where reversals are. There are pretty much their standard rules to reversals, but when I see this kind of downward trend, the trend is your friend. It can also be your worst enemy as well. So if it's on a downward trend and you're not planning on shorting the stock, this friend is telling you something, you got to listen. So it's got to break through this apparent trend line, and it needs to start climbing higher, because what I'm looking for is it to break this level. If it breaks this level, it doesn't exactly mean that I'm getting into stock. It just tells me that it's made it past that level, and so that gives me a little bit more conviction on keeping this on watch. If it breaks past this level, then I'm really keeping an eye on it, because you're going to get you're slowly getting buyers to come in and push this higher, and it won't take much to it might slow grind back up. Just depending on your style of trading and where you want to put your risk, you could slowly add to your position as it comes back up. But in doing so, it could easily come back down as well to $1.79. It just needs more time to develop a chart for more people to be interested, and it's going to take a few more days for that to happen. So you can nibble at this a little bit. If it does drop down back to this level, I would definitely be interested in buying, because the chances of it coming up, at least, you know, up to those $2 levels, you can take a small profit. Maybe if it gets more interest in volume, it'll push back higher. I just don't have enough information right now where the price is at to make a determination on whether or not I want to add to my position. So, and I have a very, very small position in this. So that's it, guys. I got to get off here. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, you know how to reach me.